Hello, everybody, and welcome to the roundtable discussion here on mycountylink.com as we continue to take a look at people, places, events, and things that happen around the West Central Ohio area. I'm Alex Warner, joined today again, Gaylen Blosser, Mike Stegall, and then our rookie coming in here. This is Brian Stickle. Brian's been around town almost forever, correct?
Yeah, seems like it.
He's been around. Anyhow, golf coach here, teacher, sports fan, coach, you name it, Brian's done it, and glad to have him join us here today. On the morning after, boys, my gosh, we're sitting here at 8 o'clock on Friday morning, and last night all heck broke loose out there, didn't it?
Yeah.
I guess they got blasted up north in, Indian Lake and Logan County and every place up there.
The way it looks, relatively, Greenville got away with a lot last night.
Relatively unscathed,
Yeah.
I think's the word to use
Lucky.
there. I was telling the guys before we came on that I was in Vandalia last night and driving from Vandalia back. Boy, I tell you, talk about a light show coming up 49. And the rain by that point in time wasn't so bad. I got down around that south flashing light there on 49 by Archon Builders. Man, I tell you what, it let loose. And I was going maybe 15 miles an hour, if that, for about probably 2 miles. And it was just pouring. You thank God for the white lines on the right side of the road, huh?
Did we get anything in the southern part of the county?
Well, yeah,
I think we did.
Okay,
Yeah.
because
They did.
Yeah.
well, last night I was talking to my friend Dale Airy down in New Madison when it went through here, and I said, "You guys get anything?" He said, "Nothing." And I was talking to him for about a minute, and pretty soon his wife said, "Oh, there goes the siren. There's a tornado coming from Richmond." So I didn't know if they had anything from it or not, because they were still north of that. But
Yeah, they were taking cover.
okay.
I saw a lot of the schools up north are closed here
Yeah.
today, or delays, but mostly closed. I feel sorry for those folks. Didn't he have some fatalities up there? Didn't he?
Trailer park really got hit
Yeah,
up
that
there.
trailer
Oh, was
park,
that it?
Yeah.
Around the lake, I assume,
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah, right at Russell's Point, I guess.
Mother Nature, boy, I tell you. And it's this time of year, too. We start talking about, the climate's changing. No, we have this kind of stuff every spring. We have this kind. You said out in Colorado, they got blown up out there.
They had
didn't
a bunch of snow out there. All Interstate 70 was closed for a while, and they showed some cars this morning on television. They were completely covered with snow. I mean, clear to the top. Said they had 18 inches, and it started blowing. So,
What they've been calling that coming in from Pineapple Express? Isn't that what they call all that moisture's been coming through Hawaii and so forth? I tell you, we've mentioned talking about drought out in California, and the reservoirs, oh my gosh, they're going to be empty and they'll fill back up. My gosh, the rains they've had out there and the snowfall. Once that snowfall starts to melt, that snowpack, you're going to be filling those reservoirs up real quick. That's where you think they do a little more planning ahead. Build more reservoirs. If you're always worried about running short on water in dry times, build more reservoirs when you got
you got to
the
remember, you're
rain.
talking about politicians thinking ahead.
But I lost my mind temporarily.
What were you thinking?
I have no clue what I
Especially
was.
sitting right beside me. Come on, man.
I don't know what
What the heck's wrong with you, Alex?
That's right. Hey, basketball, high school basketball and college basketball, we got everything coming up. Selection Sunday for NCAA here. The high school tournaments have been really good. I saw two last night, older, who beat Greenville in the first game. They looked real good last night. They got off to a slow start, and then all of a sudden it started raining threes from all over the gym.
They drained a bunch of threes against us.
Oh, yeah.
13.
13 against us. They probably had
against
about
us,
13 last night. They can fill it up. And then some of my gosh, the Tri-Village Preble Shawnee ball game was a great game. A lot of strategy. That was one of those games where you enjoyed watching it, but you also it's like a little chess match between the coaches and how they were moving people around. And
What about the technical that Sadducer got?
Well, I don't know. Gaylen can speak to that.
I know about that. Personally, of course, the referees are all good friends, and so I get to know them, so I'm very careful. That referee was not from the area. I didn't know him. I knew the other two. I do know that what Coach said was blow your whistle.
In those exact words?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I felt, and a lot of other people felt, even officials, that he should have had a warning.
Okay.
Because, I mean, he was in front of his bench, he didn't run down, and I like the coach from Preble Shawnee. He's a great young coach. I think he'll go someplace. He was out of the box, clear down by the table, and so I think he should have got a warning. I don't think deserved a technical.
We hadn't gotten a warning beforehand.
No,
had
they
it?
didn't get a
Okay.
warning. No.
Before any of that.
Right, and it wasn't language or anything, he just said blow the whistle and, you know.
kinda picky.
Well,
Yeah,
that was a
especially
big-
at that level.
But-
That was a big turning point.
That was
That ended up being a
But thi-
5-point play.
This is part of the problem you get when you get in tournaments and playoffs and stuff, is you get officials from other places,
Yeah.
and you're not familiar with their style, or they're not familiar
Right.
with you.
Right.
Now, you know, the guys like, the other two guys that have probably been around for a
Oh,
while,
yeah, they do.
they've known Sagaster, nah, that's nothing, you know, they let it go. One of the first things you can learn as an official, that you must learn, is when a guy is yelling at you and when he's just frustrated. Because a lot of times, you gotta remember, they can't yell at their kids. They can't yell at the kids because the parents are sitting right there. Right?
Oh, I don't know about that.
No, I mean,
You yell plenty.
they'll get on you a little bit, but they're not gonna, you know,
Right.
so you can't really, you can coach your kids, but you can't yell at them. You can't really get into them. So who are they gonna yell at? How do they get rid of that frustration?
Yeah, and.
And a lot of it's just mouthing at the official. A lot of it's just mouthing, they're just trying to release
Yeah,
it.
in Sagaster's interview afterwards, he said, I was protecting my kids, you know, and that's what he was doing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Brian hit it right. That was one of the key plays in the first half, because that gave them a little momentum going in, Preble Shawnee a little momentum going into the locker room half, because they hit the three right after
Right.
the two technicals.
Right.
And then the other key play, they're up 41-39, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, 41-30, yeah, 41-39 with about 3 minutes to play, and this Mason Shroud, who's a tremendous ball player.
D1 ball.
Yeah, he's up for Mr. Basketball here in Ohio. He hit that three-point shot over two players and drew a foul. Hit the foul shot, so all of a sudden, instead of a 2-point game, now it's a 6-point game. And then I got to hand it to Shawnee. They were missing their second-best player, broken his ankle supposedly in a gym accident last week. And had this little freshman in there. He looked like, remember the movie Hoosiers?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, they bring a manager in. Remember in the, I think it's the regional finals, or whatever, and he's Ollie, and he's about
Yeah.
5'2", and he goes and shoots a couple foul shots underhand and puts them in the state finals, I think it was. Well, this kid looks like him. His name's Knox Mills, I think. He's like 5'6", little toe-headed kid. He hit 5 out of 6 foul shots down the stretch, and that's what kept
Well,
them
they hit their
advantage.
free throws down. to
18 out of 20. Yeah, they were tough. Yeah, it was a great game. And then we got to talk about Versailles. Tell you
Wow.
what, Versailles has come a long way. That's a
Yeah,
ball
they have.
club that 4-5 in the league, and what, 11-11 regular
Yeah,
season.
4 and 5 in that league, though. Look
I
who
know,
you're
I
playing,
get that,
you
I get
know.
that.
You're playing Coldwater, St. Henry.
And they were in the state
Marion.
championship football game, so they got
Yeah.
a real late
Yeah,
start.
yeah.
And they're a tournament team.
Yeah,
Yeah, oh, yeah, they
I
are.
see where Rushi's still alive. That'll make my wife happy. So.
Rushi's got a really nice ball club up there. I just feel kind of, I hope I don't feel sorry for them, because you got to play the best to be the best, you know? And they're going to run into that, and I'll say it, renegade outfit from Richmond Heights up there.
Wow.
That brings in all-stars. It's an AAU team from basically Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Ohio. And Rushi will run into them in the state semis. But Rushi's the real deal. They got a great ball club.
Have you guys noticed the transformation that's been happening up at Fort Laramie over the last like 8 or 9 years? Ever since they became a football school, their basketball program has fallen off, and they've become more of a football school. It's just kind of weird, the dynamic up there, because Fort Laramie that was their
Yeah.
life.
Oh, yeah.
They
Oh,
were
yes.
basketball all the way. When they started their football program, now they're kind of leaning more towards that. So
Well, I bet you they don't start football for the girls' basketball
No,
program.
'cause the girls,
the girls'
yeah.
team's tremendous. I mean,
Well,
they got a
well,
great
you know,
girls'
something
team.
kind of a precedent like that, and I think Arcanum is kind of an example. Arcanum, that was basketball, and they always kind of resisted football, and then it came in, and they've got a nice football program, off and on
Yeah.
over the years, and their basketball program hadn't quite
No.
come through, has it?
But look at Tri-Village.
Yeah, I know, there's the other
Everybody-
hand.
People thought that Tri-Village would never have football because Sagaster's a basketball coach and he's basketball. Sagaster pushed to get football. He did. And both their football and basketball every year is.
I think it's just
There's-
smart for these smaller schools to have both sports,
Well,
because it's more options for the kids. I mean,
Well,
if you got a kid
oh, yeah.
if you got a kid that's 6 foot, 240 pounds, he's probably not playing basketball.
And for
You know what I
sales,
mean?
they do good at both.
Yep.
But,
Yeah,
but it's
all
a
these
little
small
bigger
schools
school, but
Well, look at-
you got to have numbers.
All the schools up north, Marion Local, all of them. They're not big
Right.
schools, they're small.
Yeah, but back to officials, I do want to say, the officials, they get it right 95% of the time. And I stand down under the basket at every game, and I can hear fans on both sides. And no matter what the call is, these people, and the most common thing they say is, "That's horrible, that's horrible." So I'm hearing every call, this side says, "That's horrible." This side says, "That's horrible." The officials really do get it right. So I'm not picking at that official to call it the technical, because these officials have a tough job, and they're great guys. I've got to know so many of them. In fact, I'm going down Saturday and cover the girls' state championship D3 game just to cover the officials. They've asked me to come and get pictures of us. So, and then I've got to do one that night for another crew. So they're great guys, but it's amazing. I mean, it's funny, it's comical to sit and listen to the sites go back and
And the thing about basketball compared to football officiating, I mean, the white hat, you're out there kind of in the middle of the field, and so, boy, those basketball officials, when the fans are like 3 feet from
they're
you.
right
They got guts.
I know Stickle sits on the
They
front
got
row
guts.
there, and Brian's on them pretty good sometimes.
I didn't have that much
down there.
guts. I
hit
tell
on
you.
him a little bit.
Have you ever been thrown out as a spectator?
No.
Close?
Close, maybe 6 years ago or so. The official sort of looked at me and, I thought, I better calm down a little bit. So I have calmed down a little bit.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
But
Well,
as coaches, I think, when they're getting on the officials, I think they're trying to get them to also look at the game both ways, not one-sided, trying to get the call for them to go their way sometimes.
Well, every
too,
coach I've ever
they're
known
just
has always
trying to
thought that
work
every
they're
call
trying to
goes
work the
against them.
official.
Yeah,
They're
I
trying
mean,
to
they
work
all
the
try.
official.
They all do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But I also do know that a lot of times something's bugging them. They're frustrated about something. The kids aren't running the right offense. They're not doing this or that. They're dropping whatever, and they're frustrated.
Yeah.
And you're standing right there, and you just happen to be standing there. I remember one night, all night, St. Mary's was playing Versailles. And Al Hetrick, every time there was a play to his side, he was walking up and down the sideline screaming at me, "Come on, Mike, you're better than that." He was just, and he never looked at me, he just looked straight down, walking back and forth. So about the middle of the fourth quarter, there was a sweep to his side, and he didn't like something he thought they did to his player. And he goes, "Come on, Mike, you're better than that." And I said, "Well, apparently not, Al. You've been telling me I sucked all night." And he looked at me and got this grin on his face, turned around, walked, never said a word.
I thought you were going to say, what you see is what you get, man. This is it. It doesn't get any better.
Hey, Alex, would you do me a favor?
Sure.
Would you fix Mike's collar so he looks good on
His collar?
on this? Yeah, look at it standing up. There you go.
I'm not a
the back of
plastic
it.
surgeon.
Well, I tell you what, I was really concerned about that.
I did too. I thought, what do you want me to fix
Whatever.
on him?
It was bugging me too.
Was it?
Thank you.
I didn't notice
Well, thanks
it.
for doing it in front of people. You know.
I didn't notice it at all. Hey, tell me about this. We're going to move on a little bit here because we got other, hopefully, topics of interest here. What's this kangaroo thing you've been telling? I don't know. I rode down with him to the ball game.
I saw it on the news one night, so I Googled it. You guys are golfers, and over in Australia, they got the kangaroos, and they were invaded by hundreds of kangaroos
On the golf course?
Yeah, I think you guys
Yeah, I
you
saw
saw
it.
it. So I've been to Australia. I spent 8 days there one time years ago back, and I just wondered if you guys ever. What have you guys seen on a golf course? I mean, this just held up play.
Alligators.
Really?
Down
Oh,
south.
down south. South Carolina and through the south. You can be playing any, I mean, especially in South Carolina. This time of year, they're coming out from hibernation, they're laying up on the beach. They'll lay on the side of the green. They won't bother a soul. I got one picture somewhere of me standing beside a gator. It's about 15 foot long. He's just laying there on the side of the green, sunning himself. 90%, 99% of the time, they don't even look at you. They're just out there in the sun doing whatever. But yeah, a lot of alligators, I think.
I had that one time on a golf course too. The alligator's there on the green, like you said, and his mouth kept opening like this. And I finally got the ball through there, and then the windmill hole was the next one. But I did have trouble with that.
No, I've just had deer.
Oh,
Right
really?
across,
Oh, yeah, deer.
In fact, we were down in Florida, playing on a golf course at Disney, and on the cart path, and this deer just come out, and he was probably from me to Nick. And he just stood there, here in Greenville, they just would take off running, and he was so used to people being around that he just was standing there, and you could almost go up and pet him probably if you wanted to, but.
Speaking of Greenville, out there at Turtle Creek,
Yeah.
on 15.
Yeah.
Have you seen those 2 or 3 deer that stand there all the time?
Yes,
Last fall
yeah,
and this spring,
yes.
there's 3 deer. And you'll be playing at 15, they're always around the green, and they always move, when you get here in the parking lot.
yeah.
But they'll stand there and they'll look at you while you're playing. They've been there for a long time.
I had a couple out on 8 in the brush out
Yeah,
there along the
okay,
creek.
yeah.
Just, I hit and I was walking up there, I happened to look over there and there was 2 deer standing there. And they just stood there and just sort of watched me putt out and, go to the next
Did they
tee.
clap when you?
I always wonder what those deer are thinking when they see me swinging.
But I know,
Well, that guy needs some work.
was it a year and a half ago, Bryce Blumenstock? I was taking pictures. I got pictures of him.
When he got stung by the
Oh,
bees.
He got stung
That
in there.
was, I've never seen Bryce run so fast.
I
And I
know.
doubt if the baseball coach had either or his dad had either, but he was in the first tree there on 13,
Okay.
the first pine
First tree on 13.
And we knew that there was a beehive there, a hornet's nest, because one of my other golfers earlier in the season had gotten stung over there. So his ball was sort of under the tree, wasn't real far in. I said, now Bryce, remember there's that hornet's nest up there. And I said, you sure you want to go in there? You just don't want to take your relief?
I was gonna say, you should get relief, yeah.
Take your drop and go. He says, no, I think I can get it out. And he I said, now don't wiggle too much around in there. He goes wiggling in there, and next thing you know, he's running across 13th fairway, just swatting. But he ended up leaving after the 14th hole because he got stung quite a few times, and he wasn't feeling
I
it
can't
good,
think of,
so.
there used to be, weren't there some wild turkeys or something? I've seen
Yeah.
wild
Yeah.
turkeys there. and-
Yeah.
Well, it's called Turtle Creek because there's turtles out there, of course,
Yeah.
obviously. And I've seen you occasional snake, you're out there. and-
Yeah, every once in a while you'll see a snake.
Yeah,
Not too
yeah, of course,
often.
I'm usually in the
Skunks.
fairway, so I
Now,
don't.
last year they had skunks.
Skunk's problem, yeah.
Yeah, right there at number 4.
4,
Yeah, yeah, they kind of chew it up a little bit.
But now if you get out to Turtle Creek, go in and eat their chicken chunks. Is that what
Chicken
you call them?
chunks, yeah.
Man, those are good.
Yeah, they got some good stuff.
So is their Wings Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that. Well, you guys got any particular topic? you wanna
Yeah, I was
bring
going
up,
to talk
Michael?
about the NFL draft's coming up.
Yeah,
And, of course, the teams around here are either the Browns or the Bengals. And what do you think the Bengals need to get over the hump?
what the Bengals need?
Yes. I think they have 3 issues they need to address.
They need a little more help on the offensive line.
That's their first issue.
I think they probably need a little more depth on the defensive line.
A little.
And then I would say maybe everybody can always say secondary, I guess. I don't know. What do
I
you
think their secondary is pretty decent. The biggest problem I see with the Bengals is Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's had an opportunity to play in 64
Oh, the
Pretty-
injuries.
64 games in 4 seasons. He's only played in 52. His injury history goes clear back to college. You remember he missed part of the championship game because he was injured. So he has had an injury history all the way through. If the Bengals cannot, this has been my main complaint with the Cincinnati Bengals since Mike Brown's been there. You invest $200 million in a quarterback, and then you let him get the absolute snot beat out of him.
No offensive line.
Because you don't want to pay the guards and the center and the tackle big money because you think they're out there everywhere, and they are. But you got to find people that can pass block and run block, and they're rare. So if they can't keep Joe Burrow upright, which they really haven't the last 4 years, and this last injury he was mostly self-inflicted, that's going to be, I think, their biggest challenge is keeping him healthy.
Keeping him
Now,
healthy?
there's a website, it's called Dark Shark, or Dark, something like that, and they talk about their risk of injury. What's the name of this website here?
You mean
Draft Sharks.
for Burrow in particular?
Well, you can
or
pick
for-
any player, and they'll tell you what their draft history is like and their injury history. It's really pretty interesting. So I
Yeah.
looked it up.
That's one of those things that could just be coincidence, like hitting your hand on a fall through on a pass.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, Joe's got a 56% chance of being injured again this year. He'll probably miss 1.5 games according to their statistics, and he's a 5 rating, which is the highest you can get for practice. He doesn't miss practices, but he misses games.
Mhm.
So I think the Bengals need to invest more in their offensive line. They don't really run the ball real well. They're not the greatest at running the football.
Mixon's gone.
Yeah, well, they got
Yeah.
replacement in Zach Moss, but they just need to run the football more.
Yeah.
It's like for 500 years.
But
you can't run the
Mike,
ball,
I
you
think
can't
that's the
win.
game anymore is pass.
It
You
is,
know,
but it's only
teams don't-
effective. If you look at the Baltimore Ravens, their passing game is effective because they can run the football.
They can
at you.
run.
You've got to draw everybody up to
Oh, I
line of scrimmage.
agree.
But it seems like in this past crazy stuff, nobody wants to.
And that's how
block.
come you're probably gonna have more quarterback injuries
Exactly.
because.
Because now you've got
quarterbacks
these
getting
defensive
sacked
end-
and,
yeah.
And they're
yeah.
dropping back more.
And
Yeah,
if you're going,
they're
if you want to
dropping
run
back
this
more.
offense, spend a bunch of money, get some offensive linemen, and I think
Right.
that's going to be the Bengals' biggest problem.
Spoken like an old offensive lineman himself, right? When is the draft? April 28th or something, isn't it?
Yeah.
Something
Yeah,
toward the end of
something
next
like that.
month?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always interesting. I always kind of enjoy watching that, and for 3 months before that, everybody's analyzing this and analyzing
Yeah.
that. So, well, but I will agree, offensive line is probably their number one priority there. So,
And then, going
The
on another
Browns.
sport completely, softball's getting ready to start for the girls. I wonder
Yeah.
how good,
I think Greenville's gonna be good.
really good.
Ansonia should be
Yeah,
good.
and Susie Blocker's doing really well at Muskegon, and I hear from Kenna every once in a while. She's coming along pretty good in golf. So
Arcanum's gonna have a real good girls softball team.
I think Darke County's got a bunch of good teams.
I heard yesterday that Miss Cinewall doesn't have enough boys to play baseball this year.
oh, really?
Oh, you're kidding.
That's too bad.
That's too
They're a
bad.
little bit down
Wow.
right now on the boys' side of things, aren't they, up there?
Yeah.
Well,
Versailles is always good in baseball, and
Yeah.
they're decent in softball every year.
Yeah.
like I said, last night I was sitting next to this guy from Covington, and
They're good.
Covington's not too bad.
They're a good team.
Yeah, Covington. So, yeah, there's good
course.
ball clubs. It's going to be interesting. I always like spring sports because they don't get the, publicity that
don't.
other sports
Right.
get. And so we're talking baseball, we're talking that, but then we forget, well, there's boys tennis, and then there's
Yeah.
track and
and
field.
field.
And,
I mean,
that's always interesting.
If you
to see.
take like boys golf teams, their biggest problem is mostly mediocre coaching.
Has been for 37 years.
Go ahead and hit him back.
That's all right.
Sorry, Brian, you were just sitting there. I had to take that shot.
The tough thing for spring sports, for me, fall sports, winter sports are 3 months. Spring sports are basically 2 months.
Yeah.
You have a lot of rainouts, so you have double headers,
Yes.
even triple headers. You just I can't get the coverage that I do in winter sports.
Well, you got
And-
6 days a week, too.
Yeah, it's just.
It's not like you got a Tuesday, Friday, or
Right.
something like that. It's every day of the week
So
and
it's
weekends.
tough to get as many
But
games
you will
in.
do it. If anybody can, Gaylen, I know you can.
Oh, we'll get them done.
I know this guy goes home and he does this. He does finger exercises, a shutter on his camera. So-
No, as far as the boys golf team goes, I do see Brian
Oh.
out there every morning in this spring. He'll be out there with the kids and 6 o'clock or so, and he's ready to go. And last year I was amazed with what he started with and how they progressed. He did a really nice job last year.
Yeah, you had
Because
to,
he didn't have much.
had to start over pretty much.
Do you,
Yes, I
do you
did.
see any change in the ownership of the golf course affecting you and your team at all, or other teams?
Not right now, I haven't.
Okay.
Since they took over, towards the
Yeah.
Yeah.
towards the
End of last summer.
end
wasn't
of
it?
last summer, so it was sort of like at the beginning of the golf season or so. So no, I really haven't, and I don't know if we will or not. We'll cross that road if it comes. So
And you complimented him, I'll compliment him. When I'm out there, he's always there, cordial, always gives me some comments, some quotes, sends me things. So, that's really helpful when you have coaches that help you on the media side.
Well, the one thing I did
Brian
learn
does a
about
great
Brian
job.
last year, I would listen to him when he would talk to the team every once in a while. And I won't say he was yelling at them, because he wasn't, but he was making his point.
He was forceful.
Yeah, but he did it in a way that the kids were like, you could see him shaking, yeah, okay, I know I gotta do this. He's very good at that. He's very good at that.
Yeah, if you could just get kids to understand when a coach is on them, if a coach doesn't like his kid or doesn't think he's any good, he's not going to spend his
No,
time. And
it's
so
true.
when a coach is on you, it's because he cares about you and wants to see you better.
that's exactly what I try to tell them. If I'm on you, I'm trying to make you better.
Trying to make you
And I think
Trying to
Tracy
make you
Haynes is the
better.
same way with her girls.
Tracy is too,
Yeah.
yes. We're just trying to make you better. We're trying to teach you some things that hopefully will make you a better golfer.
But what I have noticed is this generation is a lot softer. They don't take kindly to
Criticism.
that.
They think
as
it's
much.
criticism
They
instead
think
of
it's just total
constructive.
criticism.
Right.
And that's why you see all these kids leaving, well, I don't like the coach, I'm going here, I'm going. This open borders thing has really just messed
Yeah.
sports up. And NIL is another.
And the portal.
And I thought that what Lou Saban said in front of Congress.
Saban.
Or
Oh,
Nick
yeah,
Saban,
Nick
I'm sorry.
Saban,
Yeah, I
yeah.
thought that was brilliant. He's right.
Well, that's one reason I think he got out of coaching. He
Well, it is,
could have gone
too.
a few
Just-
more years, but he got fed up with all the other stuff outside of coaching. I think, well, it's like that Chip Kelly coming from UCLA to Ohio State as the offensive coordinator, giving up the head job out there. He said, I want to coach, but I don't want to do all
Deal-
that
deal with
stuff,
all that
deal with
stuff.
the NIL and the transfer portal and everything. I just want to coach football now.
Yeah.
And they make enough money now as a coordinator. My gosh, you're making millions as coordinators
I think you're going to see a big change in Ohio State this year now that Ryan Day isn't doing everything. I think that really has hurt Ohio State the last 3 years. He was trying to do too much.
Yeah.
And I think with Kelly as the offensive coordinator and some other people he's got on the staff, I think they'll be
what
fine.
Hey, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think one thing with the portal, though, I think it has, in basketball, it has made more teams competitive.
It has.
I mean, you looked at the top 25 last week. I think there were 2 teams with 3 losses, and everybody else had 6, 7, 8 losses. Now, it wasn't like that before.
No.
And teams are just upsetting teams. Kansas got beat again last night, and
Providence
somebody
won.
else got beat last night.
There was 4 upsets last night.
UD got beat again
Well, the
last
top 4
night.
seeds in the A10 tournament got beat
Duke
yesterday.
got beat,
And then,
yeah.
who was
I mean,
that?
I
There's a
think-
school called Lamar or something. That's the
Yeah.
first time they're in the tournament. They upset the
I,
top seed
I
in their
think it's
tournament.
made just a lot of more teams more competitive.
The problem I have with all that stuff, and there's 3 of us here, I mean, Bowling Green, Miami, and
Central
Michigan. We got 3 MAC schools, and the MAC now, I think, has become just a AAA farm system
Yes,
for the big
that's
schools and the
true,
Power
too.
4 or
That
5
is true.
conferences.
And
If
that's-
you get good, if you're a star at a MAC, odds are you're going to be playing at
This is the
a Power
problem with
5
NIL.
next year.
This is the whole problem. If you've got your Alabamas, UCLA's, Ohio States, Michigans, with this unlimited budget they have,
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to buy their players. That's what they're doing. They're buying players.
Sure.
I
It's
don't
a
care
money-
how
it's
you
a
wanna-
pro sports
I don't care how you
outfit.
want to candy coat it. They're buying players. What's that going to do to the Miamis and the Central
Yeah,
Michigans and the
Bowling
Bowling
Green,
Greens?
yeah.
They can't afford to do that.
Yeah.
It's almost like they need to have a separate tournament, Power 5 tournament,
Yeah.
and then let's go to mid-majors.
Either do that or just completely get rid of the NCAA because they are absolutely worthless.
Yeah.
And I said it and I mean it.
Yeah.
I've never seen a group so powerless in my life.
Well, hey, let's move on. I gotta talk. How about let's talk money? Since we're talking NIL money and so forth.
I
All
don't
right.
have any, so.
I don't have any. Okay, so
I'm still waiting on
I-
mine.
Teacher, right?
Okay, so
Retired school teacher.
in the column I wrote last week, I talked a little bit about. I read an article in the Week magazine, which is one of my favorite magazines. This is like a brief synopsis weekly of different things going on. There are more $100 bills printed now
article.
than $1 bills in the United States on an annual basis. And the reason is because criminal syndicates love it, and there's a demand from overseas for $100 bills. Because if you're trying to hide cash, if you have $1 million in $100 bills, it only weighs 22 pounds.
Right.
If you have $1 million in $1 bills, it weighs 110 pounds, 5 times as much, right? Anyhow, I thought that was interesting, and I started thinking about that. So here's your trivia question. I had this in my column too. So let's name, there's 7 bills issued right now.
yeah. Oh.
So Washington's on the $1 bill to get
bill.
us started. Who's on the $2 bill, which is still out there, but you just don't see it? Never took off, did it?
Let me pull.
Who's
I
on the
read your
2?
article.
I know.
Let me pull up your article.
I'll find out who read my article.
I'm trying to think. Well, then we also had the Susan B. Anthony dollar, which was,
Yeah.
that was there.
But the $2 bill. Monticello,
Oh, is it Jefferson? Okay.
Thomas Jefferson, $5 bill, and you have all these bills in your
And you never-
billfold, even
yeah.
though people don't carry cash, but they're so common, you just don't think, well, wait a minute, who's on the 5?
Lincoln?
Lincoln's on the 5.
5.
10, a
Hamilton.
non-president,
Hamilton?
Alexander Hamilton's on the 10.
Good.
20 is kind of an outlier because he was not one of the great presidents of American history. He was kind of a rascal kind of guy, but he was a war hero.
Grant?
No.
On the 20.
Grant's on the 50, I think.
Think Hermitage. Think Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
My grandfather,
Jackson.
yep.
Andrew Jackson.
Yeah,
right.
my great grandfather was named after Andrew Jackson. 50,
That's a,
you just said it.
yeah.
Grant?
U.S. Grant.
Grant.
And on the last one that they're printing now, the $100 bill is
Mike Stegall.
Alex Warner.
That's on the Monopoly version.
Wow. The $100
One of the
bill.
great statesmen of U.S. history, was never a president. Think lightning rods. Think
Ben Franklin.
Benjamin Franklin looks out from the $100 bill. Now, if you really want to get complicated, and they don't make them anymore, but the $500 bill is an Ohio one.
Well, let's see. That would be, was it
It's
a
former
president?
president. Well,
Taft?
we got 7 presidents from
Taft?
Ohio, right?
Yeah.
Does he have a mountain named after him?
Grant?
He did,
That mountain?
and they changed the name on it,
Yes, they
being
did.
politically correct. You say it.
I can't.
William McKinley.
Yeah,
McKinley,
well,
that's right.
McKinley, Mount McKinley in Alaska,
right.
which is now,
Why'd they change it?
well, pressure. What's it called now? Denali.
Denali, yeah.
Yeah, Denali
Mount
now. But it
Denali.
was
Mount
McKinley, now it's
Denali.
Denali. And then the last one I'll throw out is on the $1,000 bill. And this man was elected president twice, but not in consecutive terms.
Oh,
See.
they just had that.
Yeah.
Roosevelt, wasn't it?
No.
Was he real fat?
See it?
He came back.
Not really.
He got
He
beat.
was
and-
4 years, then he got
got
beat,
then he came back and beat.
And it's not Trump.
Wasn't Buchanan, was it? No.
Nope.
Oh gosh, it was in that era.
Think of the Browns
Browns. Okay.
football team.
Yeah.
Where are they?
Cleveland.
Cleveland.
Grover
I'll be
Cleveland.
danged.
Grover Cleveland on the $1,000 bill. And then it goes, I think they had as much as a
Didn't they have a $10,000?
$10,000 bill.
Yeah.
I didn't go that far down the road with that.
Well, let's
So-
ask you
but
this,
yeah,
have you ever had a $1,000 bill? Has anybody ever had a
I've never,
$1,000 bill?
yeah.
You ever seen one?
I'd like to have a stack of them. but
I do
don't-
have though. My uncle, before he passed away, he gave me a $100 bill that's like was printed back in like 1925 or something like that, and he's got it in a plastic case and stuff. It's got all kinds. It's like different colored writing on it. It's got some the regular stuff. It's got some red writing on it.
Yeah.
I've got it in my safety deposit. But I don't know if it's worth anything, but he was fascinated
Could
with
be.
old money. That's what he called it, old money.
So speaking of money, coins, they're still pumping out pennies right and left, right? Do the
Yeah,
pennies,
I think.
I don't know, they've kind of
I
outlived
think
their
they-
usefulness,
I
haven't
think
they?
they're going to stop making the penny. I think.
Are they?
That's what I've
Because
something
it costs
like that.
more to make a penny than a
Yeah,
penny.
it costs more than,
Right.
because of the copper in them. And
So what do they do? Just round off?
I have no idea what they're gonna do. The way things are, I have, they could they're printing everything. I don't know why they quit printing that.
You know, I'm going to think about that. It's a Lincoln's on the penny, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Who's on the nickel? Roosevelt's on a dime,
Who
right?
invited you?
I have no clue.
Jefferson? Jefferson? Is he on the nickel?
We're having a history
I don't know.
class.
I don't have
I-
change in my pocket.
So my question then is too, I know people, and it's a great hobby, a lot of people really enjoy coin collecting and so forth. One time I broke open the piggy bank, or, everybody's got a jar of loose change, so I thought, well, I'll kind of see if I can get into it. After about 5 minutes, I was bored to tears because I didn't find anything that I thought was worth it. And I know it's a great hobby for a lot of people out there. Do you guys,
If you
Used to
there's
Do ya?
collect pennies.
an app you can get on your phone now. Now I just saw this. You take a picture. You put it in the app reader, and it'll tell you what it's worth, where it's from, and all that
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, you can do that on your. That would make it a lot easier.
the best thing I like with the loose change, I like taking it to the bank or Kroger's
I
or
do
whatever,
too.
just throwing in
That's
things.
just
I do too.
To me, that makes a lot more sense, but
Yeah.
I know a lot of people.
I walk into Greenville National now, and they put cotton in their ears. Oh God, here we go again.
So let's talk collections. Baseball card collections,
Used to?
used to.
Used to.
Just about everybody had them. Still got them?
No.
No, wish I
I
did.
still have some, but my brother's got a boatload.
Does he?
I shouldn't probably say that too loud, but yeah. he's got a
Has he?
boatload,
Craig
yes.
does?
Craig does.
Yeah. I mean, some cards that are
I
worth
mean,
some value
yeah,
now.
Yes, he
huh?
does, yeah.
And
yeah.
he lives where?
Address?
Okay, isn't the most valuable card Honus Wagner's card? I have heard that. before.
Yeah, and
That, and I think a Mickey Mantle
Mickey Mantle
card.
rookie card.
Rookie card is pretty.
And,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
another card that's usually at the top is the first card and the last card in the stack, because when you were younger, you would put a rubber band around your cards.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it ruined the front card and the back card.
card.
So a lot of times, the first or last card in a collection is
oh,
top dollar.
okay. Man, I remember I had shoe boxes full of those things, and I think my mom pitched them.
Oh,
And I'm
geez,
thinking,
you
there
probably
might have
had
been a
some.
card or two that were in there.
Sure.
You know what?
Because I was starting in, mid-late 50s.
Did you guys ever
Right.
collect Sports Illustrated?
the swimsuit issue.
Now you're telling me.
Now you
so.
can't find a Sports Illustrated.
Well, they do-
like
they're
twice
out
a
there.
year,
Don't make it
maybe.
But I-
anymore, I don't think.
Phil Broombaugh and myself, in Phil's bedroom, he had stacks of those. He'd been saving them for years. I remember when we were in school, and then I started saving them, and I had a bunch of them, and finally
Yeah.
got rid of all of them. And I think Sports Illustrated just quit here a couple years ago.
Yeah,
didn't they?
well,
They were starting
they're
at
still-
54.
They're still digital, but they've laid off just about everybody. I think they come out with actual publications maybe 3-4 times a year.
Have
That's
you?
about it.
Did you ever play it there where they were invented? Where they came up with the idea for Sports Illustrated? You ever
No.
play golf down there?
No,
Myrtle
where's
Beach.
that?
Myrtle Beach.
Really?
Course called the Granddaddy.
Well, I remember the first copy. It had Eddie Matthews and Wes Western was the catcher. It was at Milwaukee's County Stadium, and that was the very first cover issue
I bet that's
of
worth
Sports
something.
Illustrated. Oh, yeah, especially in
I'm
mint
sure.
condition. My dad subscribed to that very first issue all the way through that. In fact, I didn't go to kindergarten. That's where I learned to read was Sports Illustrated.
Now, let's see how good you are. Tell me who was on the cover of the second Sports Illustrated. You wanted to go coins, let's go back.
No clue. I do remember the first swimsuit edition. Oh, geez.
Who was it, Mike?
I have no clue.
Oh, okay. I thought you knew.
Hey, any other oddball collections anybody's involved in?
We used to collect golf balls.
Did you? You have little racks for them and stuff?
Yeah, I did have for a while.
For logo
The only ball
balls?
I've collected
Logo
now
balls?
Logo
is,
balls.
I have had a couple Holden-1s, and the first one I ever got, my grandfather made us a display camp. It was a base about this big, and it had a 1 on it.
Right.
And right in the middle of it, you could glue the
Put your
ball there,
ball
and I
in,
still
yeah,
got that.
yeah.
Yeah. I had 2 hole-in-ones, and I think they're in my sock drawer or something, someplace. I don't know which one was which either, but, and Brian's got what, 4?
4, yeah.
Yeah.
Now I keep,
Hole-in-ones? Really?
now I keep the balls whenever I hit the green, so.
Every time I make a putt.
Right on it, I hit the green.
So we're at the ball game down there, the Versailles game down at Trent Arena tonight, and I've got to pass this along. After the game was over, that was the second game of the night, Gaylen's going down to interview people and so forth. There were 3 or 4 young ladies from Versailles, and they were going through the bleachers where the Versailles student body sat during the ball game. And God love them, those girls were picking up bottles, popcorn boxes, and putting them in the trash barrel. And I'm sure it was voluntary, and I've got to pass it along to you folks up Versailles. Be proud of those young ladies. That was one of the nicest gestures I've seen in a long
awesome.
time. Which made me think of another topic, manners. What's going on with manners and so forth? I mean, sometimes we're not real civil to people, and, we don't hold a door open for somebody, or, you're sitting there and an older couple comes in, not referring to Gaylen or myself, or, well, you other guys, now I think of that, and young kids don't offer their seat to them and so forth. And manners, have they kind of gone down the tube somewhat, or not?
Yeah, I think
Or
they
just-
have. Society's gotten a lot
Yeah.
more cruel to each other.
Right.
We don't, we're more suspicious of everybody, and
Yeah.
we just don't, communicate. The biggest problem we have is we don't communicate. It's all through a phone.
Yes, that's true, too.
And I saw yesterday where they're talking about this TikTok. Now, there's 170 million subscribers to TikTok that watch it, use it. But they're having protests now from the younger kids saying, oh, you can't take this away from us because we won't know what to do.
Well, I've heard
They talk to
say
each other.
they'd commit suicide
Yeah.
if you take it away.
A couple of them have said.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of them, I know these social influencers, that's how they make big bucks.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works,
I
number of
have
likes
no
and
problem with that,
viewership.
but I think there's got to be a limit. And this basically goes back to parents. You gotta set a boundary. These kids are on their phones. Have you,
Constantly.
I know we've all seen during prom time, you'll see 12 kids come into a restaurant, they'll sit down with each other and they all got a phone in their hand, they never talk to each other. It's crazy, there's no interpersonal communications anymore.
I noticed that in golf, going on away trips. It used to be, we get done with the match, coming home, the kids were just talking about.
Camaraderie, right?
Yeah, talking about the match, what they did on certain hole, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, it's so quiet in the van, and I'm thinking, why are these kids so quiet in the van? And I'm looking back in the mirror, and here they
Everybody's
are,
got
they're,
their
you know,
phones.
They talk first couple minutes when they get in the van, and then boom, it's all on their
Yeah.
phones. And I'm thinking, guys, I even commented to them. This has been a few years ago when phones started coming out, and I said, guys, don't you want to talk about what you did on the course today, you know, certain holes and blah, blah. And they would for a little bit, but then boom, they'd be right back on their phones,
Yeah,
so.
it is a problem. I do think it is a real problem, and
Yeah.
it's gonna get worse.
I read a quote someplace in an article where a coach was saying, it's sometimes it's not the games you remember, but it's the bus rides,
rides.
and it's the practices, and it's the locker rooms that you remember. And
Yeah.
you're right, you start
It's
losing
the-
some of that
yeah,
time.
yeah.
When you got an away game, when we were all in school, if you got an away game and you're going down to Valley View, you're going over to Urbana or Lima Shawnee or something like that, hey, you're on the bus for an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half after a contest with your boys, you
Yeah,
know? and
yeah.
I
That
am
was always some of the good times.
I'm always amazed at pro athletes too. Whenever you hear them talking about,
What are you gonna
what do
miss?
you like about this, that, and the other, they always talk about the locker room. I
Yeah.
miss the guys. The locker
Yeah.
room, and it is, if you're not an athlete, and if you are, you know what I'm talking about. There's this feeling in this locker room that, these are your people.
Mhm.
And you just
bond.
It's a
Yeah.
bonding experience that's unmatched.
What amazes me today is, and I'm sure the four of us, when we were 16, we wanted our driver's license and we wanted it
Yeah.
right away.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know how many kids today don't have their driver's license?
few.
We have kids that are seniors,
Right.
haven't even thought about getting them yet.
I had
You
one of
know?
those a few years ago. Was a senior and finally got his license as a senior.
What
He
was
just
his,
did-
was his reasoning?
He just didn't want to drive. So
Really?
I just, yeah.
It wasn't the cost of insurance or getting a second car? or-
That wasn't a problem. No,
Okay.
he
It's
just felt he just
they're
didn't want to
they're different.
drive.
This generation is just different from us.
That's not saying it's
They're-
bad
no,
or
I'm not
good.
saying
It's
they're
just
bad.
they're-
No,
they're
not-
But
different.
the only thing I
but-
think is bad is there has to be something done about this cell phone. I mean, everybody,
I think
we all
so,
use it,
too.
but I know I get home at night and I'm like, yeah, turn it off. I've had enough
Right.
of it all day.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hey, boys, we're starting to get where we probably need to start wrapping things up. Any final thoughts, Gaylen? Anything you want to bring up here real quickly?
No, it's just been a great winter season, and all the kids that are out there playing sports, they're good kids. And I think sports really helps mature kids and gets them on the road to a good career. And that's not just sports, it can be music, it's just a lot of different things that the schools do. And
Extracurriculars.
Yeah, so, I just think no matter the sports or whatever it is, they just had this big music thing at the school, and they do a tremendous job out here at the school, and all the schools, Arcanum, Versailles, their band's just really neat, and other schools, so I think we have a lot of good kids.
Yeah.
We do.
Brian?
I'd just like to thank you guys for letting me come today. I enjoyed it.
It might be a one and done. We'll have to
It might be, yeah.
We're going to review the tape.
Give me a review,
You
let
said
me know
something-
how I do.
You said something about criticism and constructive criticism, buddy, you're going to get it. So-
Okay, yeah.
He's gonna
No, thanks for
have
coming today.
PTSD.
Remember, you asked for this.
Yeah, I know.
Mike, what do you think?
I enjoy these roundtables, just especially when we just go like this. But I do want to thank Scott Fitzgerald. He is trying to get the old
Yeah.
cannon put up at the field.
Right.
He's got everything set up. We're just waiting on the school board to give him the go-ahead. He is doing a tremendous job for the kids and everybody else. He's trying to tie the past with the present, and we need more people like him. He's doing a fantastic job. I hope the school board approves what he wants to do, because he's ready to go. As soon as the weather breaks, they can start building everything he wants to do, and I think it would be great. So, Scott, congratulations, buddy. I'm pulling for you. If you need any help, let any of us know. We're more than willing to help.
Hey, and I would like to say, several of your columns here lately, you talked about the one was addressed to school boards about different things, and then the one on the parents, officials, coaches, and so forth. That was very good.
Yeah,
So,
that was.
yeah, I don't know who ghost wrote those for you, but anyhow,
My wife-
no, they were.
my wife's
Say your
pretty
wife,
smart.
she's pretty good.
They were very well written. I appreciated
Thank you.
reading those. So anyhow, well, hey, on behalf of Nick Schmidt, our videographer, as always doing a good job for us, and Brian, thanks so much for sitting in. We'll maybe
Welcome.
think about
Appreciate
bringing
it.
you back here
All
sometime.
right,
We kind of
yeah,
rotate through. It's I'd like to say the big three, but I'm not sure that's exactly it, plus a guest every now and then.
How do you mean that?
I don't know. I just threw that out there. We're getting near the end. Hey, on behalf of Gaylen Blosser, Brian Stickle, Mike Stegall, I'm Alex. Brian Stickle, Mike Stegall.
There you go.
I'm Alex Warner. Thanks for watching the episode here of the Roundtable discussion. Is four grumpy old men maybe talk about what's going on around
we
the
need a nap
area.
now.
Yeah. Good night, everybody. Have a great day out there.